Blog Talk Radio.
Vichamo Afurakanu Afuraitkaitnut EGUA Medinde Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akhan. That means greetings to all Afurakanu people. Today is EGUA Marketplace Day. My name is Odwirafo Kwesi Nehem Ptah Akhan. Akwamuman Amaruka Atifi Mu. Odwirafo. It means the Odwirafo of the Akwamu Nation in North America. Today we are going to deal with ABOA NKWA, and we just want to send out a couple of messages right quick. In the meantime, if you go to the website, www.odwirafo.com, ODWIRAF as in free, O.com, / ABOA, capital A, BOA, _ capital NKWA .html. And we put that in the chat room as well, the link, because that's the specific information. That's the page on our website that we will be dealing with today. So, go to that. We got people in the chat room. All right, so we also want to make a couple of announcements. We will be in Baltimore this Saturday, July 12th at 2 p.m. If you go to our website, we have all of the information. Also on our Facebook page, Afuraitkaitnut. We have all of the information on the page. The flyer as well, we just posted that today. So it will be at 2 p.m., Baltimore, Maryland, this Saturday, July 12th. Of course, the event is a free event. We don't charge admissions fees for any of our events. And we will be giving away a free copy of one of our publications to everyone who attends. So we do have 7 publications in soft cover at this time. We have Afuraitkaitnut, the origin of the term Africa. We have Nechi, divine law and divine hate. We have Ubin Sheng, the ancestral summons, which deals with ritual practices like libations and shrines and ancestral and deity communication, ancestral and deity worship, and the various different things dealing with cosmology. We also have Kukutuntum, the ancestral jurisdiction, which deals with the cosmological foundation of creation, as well as the nature and function of the ancestresses and ancestors with respect to us, the forces in nature, the deities with respect to us, the supreme being in relationship to us, as well as an Afuraitkaitnut, meaning African ancestral religion, the ritual incorporation of divine law and the ritual restoration of divine balance. But we also go into detail showing that the various characters of the Bible, Quran, Talmud, and so forth, Jesus, Moses, Muhammad, Abraham, Isaac, Ishmael, Moses, Aaron, David, Solomon, Sheba, Menelik, Buddha, Brahman, Allah, Yahweh, all of these characters are absolutely fictional characters who never existed of any race whatsoever. So we go into detail about that in the Kukutuntum. Then we also have Aakhuamuman Whole Life Journal, which we deal with natural health, culture, trustery, ethics, emotional, spiritual development, a number of different topics in the Aakhuamuman Whole Life Journal. We also have Oberima Afurakanu Manhood, which is a book that we suggest that all Afurakanu males have a copy of, from young males going into manhood, adulthood, as well as older males as well. So we have these various publications, and one of them we will be giving away as a free copy of them. Those publications you can find on our NHOMA page on our website. The NHOMA page is odwirafo.com, ODWIRAF as in free, O.com / NHOMA, NHOMA All right, and so you can go there and see that we have the soft cover publications. We also have the PDF versions of those publications. All of the publications, those 7, plus we have 5 more that we haven't put in soft cover yet. So in total, we have 12 books. We also have over 60 articles, research articles, and then we have about 49 videos. Most of them are about 2 hours each. So all of that information, and we also have audio as well, about 10 hours of audio, and in addition to all of the previous archived broadcasts of our radio shows, which is this show, EGUA Marketplace, and then we also have Ojida, which we do on Benada Tuesday nights, and we have all the archives for those shows. So most of those shows are between 2 and 3 hours. We've been doing these particular shows since May, so we have a number of hours of audio there as well. So all of our downloads, the books, articles, audio, and so forth are free downloads. But then also, so out of the 12 books, all of those are free downloads in the ebook version. We also have the softcover version of 7 of them at this time, and those we sell between $8 and $11. The PDF versions are free. So we want people to go to the Aakhuamuman website. Also, another announcement. So we already said Saturday, this Saturday, July 12th, at 2 p.m., Baltimore, Maryland. We will be in Baltimore presenting on Nanasom, Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, Ancestral religion as it relates to us in America. We will be dealing with how our traditions are inherited through our blood circles. We have carried our ancestral religious traditions not only from ancient Kanat and Kemet, meaning Nubian Egypt, across to West, Central, and South Afuraka, Afuraikai, but we carried those same traditions when we were forced into enslavement in the Western Hemisphere. That includes those of us who are in North America. So we carried these same religious traditions, real religion, with us in our blood circles, connected to our ancestresses and ancestors. We have these traditions within us. We can therefore restore these traditions, and it's incumbent upon us to restore our innately inherited, blood-transmitted, ancestral religious tradition. The only real religion that exists is Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, ancestral religion, or African ancestral religion. It shows us how to incorporate divine law and restore divine balance so that we can harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with divine order. Christianity, Islam, Judaism, Hebrewism, Hinduism, Taoism, Buddhism, Hermeticism, Gnosticism, pseudo-metaphysics, Kabbalism, pseudo-Native American spirituality, all of these are false traditions with pseudo-cosmologies with no basis in reality. They are fragmented corruptions of fragments of our traditional practices that were copied, plagiarized, corrupted, and represented to us or represented to us as real traditions, which they are not. They were designed to make Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut people worship our enemies, the spirits of disorder, the whites and their offspring, whether they're Europeans, Asians, white Americans, Hispanics, Arabs, Hindus, Asians, and so forth. So we're going to go into that kind of information, spanning our various publications in these areas on Saturday. We'll be doing that presentation as well on July 19th in Las Vegas, Nevada. So you can go to the website again, and you can download that information as well. The detailed flyer on Facebook, but also on our website. And for those of you who are not on our Ning site, we do have a Ning network, Afuraka-Afuraikai.ning.com. That is a network that we own. It's a social network that we own, so you can join that, create a profile, connect with other individuals from not only in North America but around the world who are studying the same kind of information, who are exchanging blogs, videos, information, articles, all kinds of information. So you can learn and exchange and connect with other people of like minds from around the world in our community. So that's Afuraka-Afuraikai.ning.com. So you can go to that website as well. Okay, so let's go to, if you go to the webpage, the ABOA NKWA webpage. So typically what we have on Aakhuamuman or Wednesday nights for EGUA Marketplace, we often have a guest on we had to reschedule one of our guests into another week. So, but still, with regard to the show, we always showcase either products or services that our people in our community are providing to the Afurakanu Afuraitkaitnut community, the African or Black community, that products and services that are beneficial to our people, and also individuals who share our ancestral values, rooted in ancestral culture, and share our ancestral values. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to deal with one of our services. Periodically, we have used the show to talk about some of the services that we offer in addition to the publications that we offer. So this week, because we had a change in schedule, we're going to deal with one of our services that we have not shared with the community on the radio station or in one of our other presentations, because we just put the information out a little bit over a year ago. So this is something that we've been dealing with internally, this particular service, but we will be teaching on it soon. We will have some videos coming up. So this will be the first time that we present this information to the community. This is one of our newer services to the community. And this is what ABOA NKWA is. Anybody, if you have any questions, you can post them in the chat room, or if you have any questions if you're on the phone line, just hit the number 1 so that we can know that you have your hand raised, and then we can, pick up the phone and let you make your comment or answer your question. So if you go to the web page, ABOA NKWA, Odwirafo.com/ABOA, capital A, BOA _ capital N, KWA .html, the ABOA NKWA page. All right, so as we see on the page, ABOA NKWA is a combination of 2 Akhan terms. ABOA, which means animal, and then NKWA, which means life. The terms ABOA NKWA are the Akhan vocalizations of the ancient terms ABOA, animal, and Ankh, life, from our ancestral language and culture of Khanit and Kemet, which is ancient Nubia and Egypt. The term ABOA NKWA as a name references the ritual practice adhered to by Aakhuamuman Amaruka Atifi Mu, which is the Akwamu Nation of North America, and Fantiman, which is the Fanti Nation in North America. It was developed under the guidance of our NHOMA, our spiritually cultivated Akhan ancestresses and ancestors, and the Abosom, the deities, the divine spirit forces that animate creation. Now, this is the introduction on the page. Now, let me just say, with regard to, when we talk about Akhan, for some people who are new, of course, there are many ethnic groups on the continent of Afuraitkaitnut. The Akhan are one of the largest ethnic groups. They are primarily reside in Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire, or Ivory Coast. There are about 11 million Akhan people in Ghana, about 9 million in Ivory Coast, so there are about 20 million on the continent. They're one of the largest groups who suffered great losses during the enslavement era. Many of our people were taken from that ethnic group and brought to North, Central, and South America, so therefore there are millions of us in the Western Hemisphere who are ancestrally Akhan, just like there are many of us who are Yoruba, many of us who are Fon and Eve. So those who are Akhan, we are naturally drawn to Akhan ritual practices or kente cloth or adinkra symbols or things that are Akhan cultural production. People who are ancestrally Yoruba will be drawn to the Yoruba culture. People who are ancestrally Fon and Eve will be drawn to Vodun. People who are ancestrally Igbo will be drawn to Igbo traditions. People who are ancestrally Dogon will be drawn to mud cloth and the different things that come from the Mende-speaking peoples in those regions. So we are a kind of organization. That's our ancestry. So this is what we're talking about when we use that terminology. The Akhan people, just like various other people in West, Central, and South Afuraitkaitnut, have their origins in ancient Khanat, which is Nubia, and later migrating up into Kemet. Some people remained in Khanat or Nubia. After the fall of the civilizations, invasions of the Assyrians and Romans and Greeks and so forth, Persians and so forth, people migrated west, reestablished civilization in the western part of the continent, and then some of us from the western part of the continent were taken directly from there into enslavement into North, Central, South America, the Caribbean, and Europe. So there's a direct line from ancient Khanat, ancient Kemet, Nubia, and so forth, to the western, central, and south part of the continent, to the western hemisphere. So this is why we have an ancestral urge, number one, to reconnect with our ancestry in the western, central, and southern part of the continent, also north and east, but also to the language and culture of ancient Khanat, ancient Kemet, meaning ancient Nubia and Egypt, because this is our ancient ancestry. So when we show in the Akhan language the terms ABOA, meaning animal, and NKWA, meaning life, those terms are, yes, in the Akhan or the tree language of the Akhan people, but when you trace them back to the Medutu, the hieroglyphics of ancient Kemet, and the language and culture, you'll find that the term Abo means animal, and Ankh, of course, means life. Ankh is vocalized as NKWA in Akhan, meaning life. Abo in ancient Kemet, meaning animal, is vocalized in Akhan as ABOA. So these are the same term. When we talk about Akwamuman Amaruka Atifi Mu, meaning the Akwamu Nation in North America, what we are referencing is that is our organization. It's first and foremost a statement of our ethnicity. The Akhan people are a large ethnic group. There are subgroups of the Akhan people. You have the Asante, some people pronounce Ashanti, that's the largest Akhan group. The Fanti people are the second largest Akhan group. You also have Denchara, you also have Akwamu, you have a number of different Akhan groups, the Bono and various others. We happen to be from the Akwamu Akhan people. That's our direct blood circle, direct blood lineage. So therefore, when we establish Akwamuman, meaning the Akwamu Nation in North America, this is our reconstitution of our blood circle, of our bloodline, of our lineage, males and females. So we reestablish that in our families once we discover who we are through our ancestresses and ancestors, through our ritual practices. And there are different ways to find out who you are, whether it's DNA tests, which can give you some information. Sometimes it can be spot on, and sometimes it gives you certain information, and you need more information with regard to that. People deal with genealogy, but the most direct way, of course, in addition to those things, is dealing with your ancestresses and ancestors who actually know who you are, of course, because these are your blood relatives, those who you come from. And they were present at your birth, and they were present with you in your previous incarnation when you were living on the continent as an Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut person. So and we deal with, in our various articles, we deal with how to discover what your ancestry is directly from your ancestresses and ancestors. They will not only give you the information, give it to you ritually, through ritual practice, at the ancestral shrine, through dreams and things like that, but they will confirm it by directing you to people, individuals who are part of the culture, who will confirm the things they gave you ritually and spiritually. You will be able to confirm it through the course of your life when you're presented with people who give you the exact same information physically that the ancestresses and ancestors gave you spiritually. So you'll be able to confirm whatever they give you. All black people can find out exactly what group you come from, what group you incarnated from. When you were living on the continent, before the enslavement era, this is not the first time you have been alive. Every black person in the Western Hemisphere has lived before as an Afurakanu or Afuraitkaitnut person on the continent of Afuraitkait hundreds of years ago, before the enslavement era began. At some point, either yourself was captured and taken to America during the enslavement process, or one of your descendants was taken to America. And if it was you, at some point you made your transition in the Western Hemisphere, and you became an ancestor or an ancestress. And then you watched your descendants grow up in enslavement in America. Or you were living on the continent and one of your descendants was taken, one of your relatives taken to the Western Hemisphere during enslavement. You made your transition on the continent. You became an ancestor or ancestress, and now you're watching your descendants suffering during the enslavement period in the Western Hemisphere. And they will pour libation to you, and now that you're an ancestor and ancestress, you communicate with them. They have children, their children have children, and generation after generation, you as an ancestor or an ancestress are watching your descendants in the Western Hemisphere grow up, whether you were an ancestress or ancestress on the continent, or if you were one of the ones who were taken here. When you made your transition, you were back in the ancestral realm that we call Asamando in Akhan culture. And you're watching your descendants generation after generation. Maybe after 100+ years, 150 years or 200 years, you return, you reincarnate through one of your descendants, your great-great-great-great-great-granddaughter. And then you're born back into the world, and now you grow up now, and now you're an adult. You're the same ancestor or ancestress who used to live on the continent. You have returned through your descendants hundreds of years later. But because of all of the mixture that took place on the boats, on the plantations, and so forth, your skin is a little bit lighter brown. You have a lot of blood mixture from different Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut ethnic groups because of what happened on the plantations and the boats and so forth. However, even though the blood may be mixed, your soul cannot be mixed because you're the same ancestor or ancestress who lived on the continent as part of a specific community hundreds of years ago, and now you have returned. Now you're walking around in America, but you're still that same ancestral spirit, and you will be drawn to that specific culture when you come in contact with it, when you're confronted with it more than anything. So maybe you grow up and know nothing about ancestral culture. Maybe you were an Akhan person 200 years ago and died as an Akhan person, of course, and 200 years later you've reincarnated through your descendants. You grow up in America, you don't know anything about your heritage. Then when you're confronted with the Akhan language and you hear somebody speak it, it resonates with you because that's the language you used to speak. When you see kente cloth, it resonates with you because that's the cloth you used to wear. When you see Adinkra cloth or Adinkra symbols, it resonates with you because you used to draw those symbols when you were living in Akhan territories in Afuraitkaitnut in your previous incarnation. So you'll be naturally drawn to that culture. Even though you have some blood mixture, your identity is based on you as a spirit incarnating through a specific blood circle. The identity is spiritual. You were already an Akhan person hundreds of years ago, and you're still that same Akhan spirit. You may have a little blood mixture from Igbo and Yoruba and Ebe and other people, and you'll have a natural affinity for those other Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut ethnic groups because you have that in your blood circle, and only the Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut ethnic groups, and you'll have respect for them. But when you come in contact with Akhan culture, Akhan language, Akhan ritual, you'll be drawn to that more than any other because that's the culture you really come from. So this has happened with all of our people, of course, and we have information about how you can rediscover your own ancestral memory, reconnect with your ancestresses and ancestors, and they will share it with you and remind you of who you are and so forth. So when we talk about on the website here, the Akwamu Nation in North America, we learned of our ancestry directly from our our Akwamu ancestresses and ancestors, and we reestablished our culture right here in North America. So this is what we're talking about. And when we said the Fanti Mind or Fanti Nation, member of the Fanti Nation who did the same thing right here in North America, learned of their ancestry and reestablished their culture as a Fanti person in North America. So we're not talking about the Akwamu and Fanti people on the continent today, which of course they still exist in large numbers on the continent today, but we're talking about those of us who were born and raised in America and reestablished our culture. So it was a working relationship between Aakhuamuman or Akwamu Nation in North America and Fanti Mind, Fanti Nation in North America, who developed ABOA NKWA as a ritual practice under the guidance of our our spiritually cultivated Akhan ancestresses and ancestors, and the Abosom, the deities, the divine spirit forces in creation. That's the term that we use in Akhan culture. The Yoruba use Orisha, the Fon and Ebe use Vodou, the Igbo people use Arusi for the forces in nature and nature Kemet. They're called Ntoru and Ntorutu, which is also a term used in Akhan culture as well. but we're talking about the forces in nature that animate the sun, moon, stars, earth, mother, rivers, oceans, mountains, and so forth. So under the guidance of our ancestresses and ancestors and the forces of nature, we established this ritual practice. Now we have some images. First we have an image from Akhan culture of a specific gold weight and Abramu, gold weight of an animal, an antelope, and then we show a similar picture from ancient Kemet, an ABOA from Akhan, from ancient Kemet, of the same animal, showing a continuity, a cultural continuity from ancient Kanat, Nubia, to the Akhan culture in West Afuraitkaitnut. We also show, just to show the connection, we show the Medutu or the hieroglyphs for the term animal, ABOA, in ancient Kemet, which is also related to the terms for heart, Ab, dance, Ab, thirst or desire, Ab, AB. So ABOA, animal, is also related to the term heart, Ab, dance, Ab, thirst or desire, Ab. Why is the term for animal also related to the term for heart, the term for dance, the term for thirst and desire? Because the heart is what animates us. The animal, the word animal just means that which is animated. The heart animates us, unceasingly sending moja or blood and energy to the body through its unceasing palpitation. It's non-stop. It's perpetual. Its rhythmic movement is the basis of dance, and the desire to function harmoniously, rhythmically, and eriase in the world according to our nature is Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, and black people. And then we say it is important to note that the determinative medut or symbol for thirst or desire, ab, the word ab, is that of an animal, abao, in motion. So when you're thirsty, that you have a desire to harmonize with order. So say if it's very hot outside, and then you develop thirst because you've lost some water. So you have a thirst or a desire for water. What's really happening is your body is thriving or striving to return to balance, to return to order. There was a depletion, so thirst represents the desire to realign with order. So, and it animates you to move and draw you towards order. Your heart beating in a rhythmic fashion is the dancer in the body because it's palpitating in a rhythmic fashion. And based on what happens and what experiences you have, there's a change in the rhythm. If someone gets scared, then the heart starts beating very fast. There's a change in the rhythm. The rhythm animates you. How much blood is sent to your different organs and systems and muscle groups, fight or flight responses and so forth is based on what's going on, how you think, how you perceive the world, and how you're going to operate. So that animation or animal, ab or abao, is also the root of the term dance, ab, which is rhythmic movement, the term for heart, ab, which is the rhythmic mover in the body, the drummer in the body, and the desire, ab, which is rooted in the heart that has to do with you want to return to order. Desire should be a magnetic pull towards restoring balance. So we show all of those symbols in the Medutu just so you can see that connection between Ab in Kemet, ABOA in Kemet, and ABOA, animal, in Akhan culture. Then we show the image of the Ankh, and we went over some of this information last night in our broadcast dealing with Ankh, the origin of the term yoga, and Kara, the origin of the term Chakra or chakra in ancient Kemet. So we proved that the term yoga is a term that was corrupted, is a corrupted version of the term Ankh. And then Chakra or chakra in Hinduism in the East is a corruption of the term Kara in ancient Kemet. So these terms have nothing to do with India. They come directly from our culture. And we went into detail about that in those two publications that we have, which are posted on the website, but we went into detail about that last night. This image of the Ankh, we show Anku, and then we also show next to the Ankh, the ANKH or NKWA doll from Akhan culture. And we show the continuity of culture. We also show the Medutu, the hieroglyphs for the term life, which is Ankh. They're also used to denote an animal, Ankh, and the Ankh animal also wears an Ankh around its neck. So the Ankh with the loop, the circular loop on top of a T-shaped cross, that same symbol, the loop part is placed around the neck of an animal, and it's placed in the form of a yoke, because the term yoke, where you get yoga and yoke, and in Proto-Indo-European, that term is yonk. That comes from the term ANKH or ANKH in ancient Kemet. That's why the animal has that loop or that ANKH around its neck in the form of a yoke. But at the same time, the term for spirit body, Sa or Sahu in ancient Kemet, called Sum in Akhan culture, it has that same symbol of the animal with the ankh around its neck in the form of a yoke, showing that ankh, that life principle around the animal, is directly related to a spiritual function. So what we say is the Medutu, meaning the hieroglyphics, elucidate the connection between the animal, Abao or Ankh, life, Ankh, and spirit, Sahu. This is a functional expression of ABOA NKWA. So we show the animal, the ABOA, and he has the Ankh, or she has the Ankh around her neck. ABOA Ankh. Abao Ankh in ancient Kemet, ABOA NKWA in Akhan culture. It's an animated life force. So ABOA NKWA is a ritual means by which we animate ABOA, our life force and life focus, NKWA, animal life, by using our bodies as instruments to align with our Achinebwa, our animal totem. Now, this is the key with regard to this ritual practice. Our Achinebwa, this is just an Akhan term, but all groups in Afuraitkaitnut have their own terms for this notion. Achinebwa, or animal totems, are inherited by blood directly from our patrilineal and matrilineal blood circle, and ultimately from our Nananum Nsamanfo, our ancestresses and ancestors who first experienced Akon, which is a Akhan term for spirit possession, by those Abosom, those deities, who govern the sacred animals comprising the various Achinebwa. Only Afuraitkaitnut people, Africans or black people, have authentic Achinebwa or animal totem. So you'll see in ancient Kemet, you'll see animal totems. You'll see animals, deities, whose sacred symbols are certain animals like the hawk for Heru, falcon for Heru, or Ra, or Maintu Ra, and so forth. You'll see the cow, which is the Kaet, or Het Heru, or sometimes offset, or different great mothers, or you'll see the vulture, the Mut, vulture in ancient Kemet, or different mother divinities because of the energy of the vulture. It's an animal totem for the great mother energy. You'll see the lion or lioness, the fiery, powerful warrior or warrioress animal. That's an animal totem for these fiery divinities and these leadership-type forces in creation that operate through the sun or operate through the planet Benna or Mars and so forth. So all these various animal totems, you find the cobras as well, various animal totems, elephants, different kinds of cobras, land animals, sea animals, air animals, and so forth. You'll find these various animals. Sometimes it's the entire animal. Sometimes it's the body of a person and the head of an animal, or different variations. They're all showing that there are animal totems associated with the forces in nature. So just like you have just in the community, some people are fiery. Some people are cool and introverted and watery. Some people are very communicative. They have an airy personality. Some people are grounded, earthy, and so forth, focused, grounded. You have the same thing, and these are energy complexes based on the deities, the forces in nature that govern them. Some people are children of the divinity that operates through the sun, so they have that fiery characteristic. Some people are children of the divinities that operate through the oceans and the rivers, and they have the watery, receptive characteristics. Everybody in Afuraitkaitnut culture is connected to forces in nature. We are assigned to them before we come into the world. And we come into the world with those energy complexes, and we manifest those complexes in our behavior just naturally, even as babies, growing up as children and then adults. People have specific energy complexes that affect their temperament, affects their behavior, the way they approach the world. When we do divination to find out what kind of energy this child has, what deity governs them, and what kind of name they should have that carries the energy of that divinity so they can be successful in life, meaning they can align their thoughts, intentions, and actions in a harmonious fashion so they can live a successful or harmonious lifestyle. When we engage these processes, we attune to these forces in nature. It's all based on that because that ties directly into our identity, who we are as a unique individual. Our ancestresses and ancestors were connected to these divinities as well, so they pass that energy on to us. So you have not only, well, you see these temperaments in people, you see them in animals, of course. Some animals are fiery, warriors, warrioresses, some are cool and receptive and so forth. So different animals have different energy complexes because they're governed by different forces in nature. The same is true of plant life and mineral life. So everything is categorized in creation. Everything is part of an energy complex family of children of certain divinity. So that because of that fact, the ancestresses and ancestors are connected to animal totems because they're connected to certain divinities who these animals are sacred to. So they can use these animals as messengers to communicate with us. Just like you can send your child or your friend to give a message to someone, the ancestresses and ancestors through ritual practice can possess one of our people during ritual and communicate with somebody or use their hands to heal somebody or walk out into the forest and prepare a medicine to cure somebody. Yeah, both of them can do the same thing. They can also direct someone to go give you a message. So maybe the Yabosom during a dream will give you a message about what food you need to stop eating that's causing you some illness, or what food you need to go eat to cure an illness, or what herb you need to take to go cure an illness, a herb you've never heard before. So then you wake up and you have this information, but then direct one of their children, another individual in your family or somebody related to you or even somebody not related to you, an Afuraitkaitnut person, who has the same energy complex, that deity will urge them to go and speak that same name of the herb to you. They don't know why they're saying it, but they just say, I felt the urge, I needed to tell you this. This is the particular herb you need to use to cure an illness. I don't know if you have that illness or not, but this is what I've been motivated to tell you. And then you'll tell the person, oh, I just had a dream about this particular herb, and the Yabosom, the deity, told me this is the herb I needed. What you just did, confirm that for me. May I say, I thank you for that, and then you will go out, you got the confirmation, get that herb, and take it and cure your disease. Just like we can send people as messengers, just like you can send a dog as a messenger. You can give a dog something and tell the dog to go carry it to your spouse, and they will go and carry it to your spouse. Just like you can do that, the Yabosom do the same thing. So they will send an animal totem that carries their energy because you also carry their energy as well. So if you're a child of a certain fiery divinity and that animal is a hawk and is connected to the same fiery force in nature like Heru Behudet, what we call Benna in Akhan culture, then they send a hawk when they're trying to communicate with you. And so you're driving down the street, you're thinking about a certain situation that you're trying to, certain obstacle you're trying to overcome, you don't know what specific direction you need to take, and then the hawk flies and lands on your car, lands right near you. That energy complex, it becomes a messenger for the Yabosom. Shoot that energy towards you, and it becomes a messenger and sends some energy, and it stimulates your craft, stimulates your soul, your divine consciousness, and then you get that information that you need. It was a messenger. Sometimes it's a warning. When the hawk shows up, then you know something is happening. You know you need to make a different decision. So the Yabosom will send their animal totem because those animal totems carry their energy. They're carriers of the energy. Your ancestresses and ancestors will also send the same animal totems that have been the animal totems of your family for generations, for thousands of years. So there are animal totems associated with your Matra clan, animals associated with your Patra clan. But fundamentally, no matter what clan it's from, it's always based on what particular deity or force in nature has governed your clan or governed the individuals within the clan, and the animal totem is based on that. And that animal totem will be a representation of that divinity as well as the ancestral group that it's associated with. So when that animal totem shows up, for example, the Asona clan, Asona Abusia, Asona clan in the Akhan tradition, that particular clan, there are 7 major clans in the Akhan tradition, matric clan. And every Akhan person can trace their lineage to the great mother of one of those 7 clans. If you can't trace your descent through reincarnation, through blood wash to one of those 7 great mothers, then you're not an Akhan person. So there are 7 major matric clans in Akhan culture. All the 20 million plus Akhan people on the continent, as well as those in the Western Hemisphere, belong to one of those 7 clans. One of the largest clans is the Asona clan, for example. And a major animal totem of the Asona Abusia, or the Asona clan, is Kwakwa Dabi, which is the black crow. So when people who are Asona are out in the world doing their thing and a black crow shows up and lands and flies and stands in front of them on the sidewalk, or lands on their car, or lands near the garbage can right where their car is parked and starts squawking at them, or quack-quack diving, quack-quack, cawing at them, then they see their animal totem has been sent by their ancestresses and ancestors. Or the Abosom and Nsamanfo will put you in a position and urge you to go to an area where that animal totem is so they can communicate a message to you or bring a warning to you, or and so forth. And then you can begin to reflect on asking them, Nsamanfo, okay, what's going on? Or what specific situation do I need to remedy? Am I on track or am I off track? Sometimes they send the animal totems to show you that you're on track, to confirm things. Sometimes they send the animal totems to you to show you that you're off track and do what you need to do. Sometimes the animal totem showing up is enough. Sometimes you communicate with that animal totem spiritually to get that information because they're a messenger and they carry that energy. Some people can divine with the animal totem, the animal itself, and get that kind of information because it's a carrier of the energy. So all these things are associated with the ABOA or animal totems. Hold on one second. A little message in the chat room, so we just wanted to make sure. Okay, so we're dealing with those animal totems. So one of the questions someone asked, so what kind of yoga should Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut people do? So when we went into detail about, and check out the show last night, because we broke down the origin of the term yoga, showing that it comes from the term, it actually is the corruption of the term ANKH. So then we showed there's a totally different orientation. Even the word yoga and what it means is totally inaccurate. You have to replace that with the word ANKH. So what does the term ANKH originally mean? Because what they associate with the term yoga is totally inaccurate. ANKH means life. So now when somebody says yoga postures and what kind of posture should we do, that's like saying what kind of life do we do? Now, that's a totally different thing. So we went into detail about that last night, but we just briefly, what we were talking about when we were talking about the origin and these articles that we published, when we sit in front of the shrine, an ancestral shrine, or shrine of a divinity, a deity, we may sit down after we pour libation, ask the Abosom to come forward, the deities to come forward, the ancestral spirits to come forward so they can communicate with us. Sometimes they possess people. Sometimes they show up and people can see them clairvoyantly standing in front of them. Sometimes people can just feel them. Okay, you said you missed the show last night and you'll review it. Okay, so yeah, review that show from last night. But basically one of the main things we were talking about was when we sit in front of a shrine, after we pour libation, we may put some food out, pour libation, ask the ancestresses and ancestors to come forward. We may be sitting down in front of the shrine. Just like when someone is dancing and a spirit possesses them and all of a sudden they start dancing in a different fashion. If a warrior-type divinity possesses them, then all of a sudden they're doing warrior, harsh, fiery movements, powerful movements, resolute movements. And if a watery, cool divinity possesses them, all of a sudden their movements change. They're more flowing. They're more soft and delicate and so forth. Just like that happens with dance, the same thing happens when you're sitting in front of a shrine. If a certain kind of divinity comes forward, that will cause you to shift position so you can receive the energy of that abosom in an optimal manner. When the whites and their offspring saw us sitting in front of shrines for a period of time, and all of a sudden we switched position, they're assuming that we're just sitting down for long periods of time and then changing positions and holding posture. So they start imitating the practice of sitting for long periods and holding postures, thinking they're doing the same thing that we were doing. Of course, we were actually communicating with the divinity and responding to the divinity coming forward, so we shift as a response to the new energy that's flooding or imbuing the area, the sacred shrine space. The whites and the offspring can't communicate with divinity. So they can sit in front of a shrine all day long, but no deity is going to come and communicate with them. So they can't respond to anything because they have nothing to respond to. So they created a whole discipline of communicating with absolutely nothing and focusing on breathing and focusing on escaping the world and escaping the cycle of incarnation and nonsense like that. So that perversion of what we were doing that they call yoga as a discipline is totally nonsensical. So that's a totally different thing. Right, so, okay, so getting back to, so dealing with these animal totems, okay, so we went into the whole piece with regard to animal totems, what they are, where they come from, the energy streaming from these sacred messengers, these AAboA. ABOA, of course, means animal. Achene or Achere means to show or to teach. So in a certain respect, AAboA are the animals that show or teach us, show us what's going on. Achene also means to lean, or Atrede also means to lean upon. So these are the forces, spiritual forces that we lean upon, so to speak, that show us certain things, that teach us certain things, because they are messengers of the abosom, messengers of the NHOMA and so forth. So that's why we say in the next sentence, dealing with that, it says, the abosom and NHOMA send the AAboA to us to communicate messages that we need in order to harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with Inyamewa, Inyame, and Sheshe, the Supreme Being's order, divine order. This is not just in Afuraitkaitnut, it happens in America as well. We have animal totems that we, of course, we carry from Afuraitkaitnut, those same deities that operate through the sun. When we're living on the continent, the same divinities operate through the sun, and it doesn't change just because we came to America. We have the same Earth Mother that exists, that animates this planet. Of course, she's the same Earth Mother that we were communicating with when we were on the continent. She's the same one over here. The same forces in creation that animates the oceans. When we were touching the ocean shore on the continent, and we're connected to the ocean shore on this side of the ocean, it's the same ocean. Of course, we have rivers and mountainous regions where divinities operate through, the major divinities operate through these major bodies in different parts of the world. They're the same major divinities across the world. They have the same animal totems that we carried with us, so they're carried in our spirits, and they will show up spiritually to us and so forth. But even when we get to America, there's certain animals that the abosom will use that exist in America that do not exist on the continent, or different species in America that don't exist on the continent. So, for example, the red-tailed hawk may be something native in a certain species in America, which may not exist in the same way on the continent, but the same abosom that utilize the hawk as an animal totem on the continent, they will operate through the other species of hawk here in America to communicate with us as well. Same divinity that operated through a leopard on the continent and used the leopard, the Osebo, as an animal totem to communicate with us. When we get to America, they still use that same animal totem, which will show up to us clairvoyantly, show up to us in dreams, but also because we don't see leopards regularly, if they want to send a physical animal totem, then they will use one of the species of cat that we have in the cities of America and send the cat to us as an animal totem. So you're going to your car in the morning or something, and a specific cat comes over to you. And you know it's a little bit different than normal because it's an ancestral urge. The ancestors and ancestors of the abosom use that specific cat as an animal totem to communicate with you just like they use the larger feline on the continent to communicate with you. It's the same thing. So they will use what is here. It's like we have different plants in America than we have on the continent, some of them. We will heal ourselves with plants on the continent. We get over here in America and we don't have the same plants. That does not mean we can't heal ourselves. It doesn't mean that we have to import plants from the continent or else we're going to die. Of course, that's not accurate because we've been here for hundreds of years and we've survived. And we survived through the worst conditions imaginable that people could go through enslavement and torture and everything else, and we've overcome that and we are still here. And we're restoring our culture. So obviously we survived. So they will direct us towards plants on this region of Asase Afua, the Earth Mother, because she's just as fertile and sacred here as she is on the continent because she's the same divinity. And she would direct us to plants that grow up out of her body here that will heal those same illnesses that are similar to the plants on the continent that did the same thing. So just like they will use different plants because we're in a different region, they will also use different animals that are native to this region to communicate with us through, just like they did on the continent. So we'll have the same animals we had on the continent in addition to the ones that exist here that they will utilize as totems as well. The ABOA can be sent to us in dreams or sent to us to cross our paths in Eriase, in the world, at critical junctures within our lives. When we align with our ABOA or animal totems, we are aligning with the energy of the animal totems we have received intergenerationally and transcarnationally, meaning through successive reincarnation from our direct blood, non-anoman samafo ancestresses and ancestors. Because these ABOA govern our patric clans and matric clans, we are able to replenish the energy within their related shrines that exist within our honam, meaning our bodies, our muscle groups, organs, and organ systems, and within our asunsum, our spirits, by ritual invocation. So we read a text last night from the Pert Imheru, the book of Coming Forth by Day, so-called Book of the Dead, misnomer, where it was talking about the different divinities that govern the different organs and parts of the body. Different divinities govern the heart, the liver, the lungs, the respiratory system, nervous system, and so forth. So, for example, Awuku, or in Akhan, Eshu in the Yoruba tradition, Set in ancient Kemet, but Awuku in Akhan culture governs the nervous system, the worldwide web in the body. Akua, who is called Nebuchadnezzar in ancient Kemet, she governs the renal system, the excretory system, the kidneys and bladder function, the water balancing system in the body, the mineral balancing system in the body, and so forth. Heru deals with the heart. Ya and Naba, Nekabet, and Wachet deal with the bronchial tubes and the lungs and respiration and things like that. Shu and Tefnu deal with expansion and contraction within the lungs. So all the different divinities are connected to organs and organ systems, muscle groups, and so forth. The different parts of our physical bodies, but also the different aspects of our spirit, our sumsum, our spiritual anatomy. So this is why we say next, ABOA NKWA is a means by which we move our bodies in the forms of our ancestral ABOA, meaning our animal totems, in order to invoke the Abosom. ABOA NKWA supports our physical health, Ahuaden, and spiritual balance, Adenin, as we work to align and realign with our Okrawa, which is our soul, our divine consciousness, the force in nature that dwells in our head region, the deity that dwells within our head region. So, but going back to that first line, ABOA NKWA is a means by which we move the body in the forms of our ancestral ABOA or ancestral totems in order to invoke the Abosom. So we move our bodies in order to invoke the Abosom by taking the forms of the animal totems that are connected to us that we have inherited by blood. So, for example, somebody in a certain, from the Grietual clan in the Akhan tradition, the animal totem is Osebo, the leopard. That's the same energy that animates the leopard. That fiery energy is connected to a certain abosom. In ancient Kemet, that bosom is called Basa, which is the leopard divinity. So, of course, the leopard, that fiery energy, that force in nature, also animates the leopard, the basa. In Akhan, basa is saba or seba, the leopard in Akhan culture, and different names as well. So the same fiery force in nature that animates the fire, connected to the sun and different fiery aspects of nature, also animates the leopard. And people who are connected to that same force in nature, they are brothers and sisters of the sebo, of the leopard, because they have the same kind of energy. Just like somebody who may be a child of a sun divinity, where lions and lionesses are also children of the sun divinity in the animal sphere. Then you have plants that are children of solar-type plants that are children of the sun in the plant sphere. And then you have certain minerals, like gold, that are children of the sun in the mineral sphere. So in every aspect of creation, plant life, animal life, mineral life, Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, human life, in those four spheres of the created world, you have children of the sun that are plants because they have that kind of solar energy, that fiery energy. You have mineral life that are associated with the sun. You have animals that are associated with the sun because they're more fiery type animals. And then you have human beings who are associated with the sun, children of the sun divinity, and carry the solar type energy within their bodies, their spirits, and therefore their character. The unifying force of within these different spheres of creation, plant life, animal life, mineral life, and Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, human life, these different spheres, the unifying force is that particular solar divinity. So we all become family members or brothers and sisters. So the lion and lioness becomes our brother and sister. It is therefore echiwade or taboo for one of us to kill the lion or lioness because that's our brother, that's our sister. That's like literally killing our brother and sister. We can't do that. We have to escape from them or something like that, but we cannot kill them. The same with certain plants. We couldn't kill them. The certain mineral life, we have to approach them ritually in a specific fashion because we're all children of the same divinity. Somebody may be a children of a lunar divinity. Then you have animals who carry that lunar type energy, cool magnetic energy as well. Then you have plants who carry that cool magnetic lunar energy as well. You have mineral life that carry that energy as well. So across all four of those spheres, people are connected to the same divinity. They're all part of the same family. And the animals who carry that energy are connected to the people of their ancestral clan. So, of course, it's echiwadie or taboo for people to kill those particular animals for any reason, because those are your brothers and sisters, literally. The unifying force, of course, is the deity in creation that is connected to all of these different spheres of the created world. So, because we have these animal totems, maybe somebody's a child of Basa, the leopard, they're part of the Osebo, the leopard clan. They can move their bodies in the form of the leopard and stimulate the energy of the leopard within their bodies, that fiery energy within their bodies, so they can help invoke that kind of energy. And then once that kind of energy is invoked, because they're moving in the form of the leopard, they can take the energy that's invoked and redistribute it to different parts of their body to bring balance to their body. So we show these, if you look on the further down below that paragraph on the page, we have a chart, ABOA NKWA chart, and we have a series of animals. All of these animals, they can be found in the various cultures on the continent, of course, so they're connected to us ancestrally. They can be found in ancient Kemet and ancient Khanit, Nubian Kemet as well. These are sacred animal totems associated with divinities. All of us, in some fashion, through various ancestresses and ancestors, are connected to these ancient animal totems, so all Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut people can use them for this purpose, for this ritual practice and this purpose. It's not limited to Akhan people. Any Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut person can utilize this ritual practice because all of us are connected. First of all of us are connected generally, but we all have a connection to the ancient language and culture of ancient Khanat, Nubia, and ancient Kemet, because some of our ancient ancestresses and ancestors dwelled there, and some of us dwelled there, and then we migrated across the continent and spread out, and we reestablished culture in various areas, and we have been separated for for thousands of years, but we have ancestry going back directly there. And these ancient animal totems are connected to that ancient ancestral blood circle that we all share. And we said before, you have 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents. You go back a few more generations, 32, 64, 126, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1,024, 2,048, 4,096, then you get to 8,000, 16,032. You go back a few generations, you're at 1 million. You go back 32 generations, you're at 8 billion with a B, billion ancestresses and ancestors on the 32nd generation. So 8 billion people that you're related to. And that shows how many people you have in your blood circle. It also shows you how many other people on the continent that you're related to and black people around the world. So when we go back thousands of years, the 32 generations is like about 800 plus years. You go back thousands of years, ancient Kemet, you'll find that Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut people around the world are all related in some fashion. And these animal totems from Kemet are connected to those ancient ancestral clans, so we can all connect with them. So this is why we showed that chart. So getting back to dealing with using your body, just like somebody can dance and get possessed by the ABOA, somebody can dance and you'll see people sometimes dancing and putting on actual costumes of the crow or the hawk or the leopard in ancestral clans in Afuraitkaitnut and doing the dances associated with the leopard clan, or dances associated with the lion clan, or dances associated with the clan of the hawk and so forth. In Akhan culture, you have the Asona clan, the crow, the Kwakwa Davi is a major animal totem, also Esunu, the elephant, and then the Asona Wo, which is the Wo is the serpent, a specific kind of serpent, snake. You have the Briatua clan, Osebo, major animal totem is the leopard, Osebo. You have the Oyoko clan, which is the major animal totem is Akroma, which is the hawk or falcon. You have Asinia clan, which is major leopard is the Apan or the bat. So you have different clans, and all across the continent there's the same thing. It's not only with dance that you can dance and generate and connect with the energy of your animal totems, various animal totems, but also what you're doing is you're using your body to become a magnet for the energy of that animal totem by moving in the same form and taking the same form of that animal. You generate a magnetic field that draws that animal's energy to you. Spiritually, that animal totem will show up, but also the deity that governs that animal totem and governs you will show up as well and connect with you as well and replenish your energy as well. So we use our bodies and our spirits, of course, but our bodies in the forms of these animal totems to generate the energy and provoke their energy. So we say it's a means by which we move the body in the forms of the ancestral ANKH to invoke the ABOA, invoke the divinities associated with them. And when we invoke these divinities, it supports our physical health, our ordained and spiritual balance, Ajanin, as we work to align and realign with our Okra, our soul, our divine consciousness. The Okra and Okrawa in Akhan, Ka and Kaet in ancient Kemet, male and female terms for the soul, the divine consciousness. It is the deity that dwells within your head region that you experience as a pull, what is in harmony with order, or voices that communicate with you to direct you to what's correct and what's wrong. That's in the head region, powerful force that we learn to communicate with. That central force that guides us in harmony with divine order is a deity that was assigned to us by the Supreme Being before we came into the world, and we align ourselves with that, and that's what spirituality is about, aligning with that force that is a representative of the Supreme Being within your head region. The ABOA are the power to harmonize with that force so we can live harmoniously. The ancestresses and ancestors are those who give us guidance to utilize the energy of that force within our head region so that we can harmonize our thoughts, intentions, and actions with order without creating disorder in ourselves and our families and the world in the process. Because since they lived as honorable, elders and eldresses in the world, when they made their transition, they have the ability and the responsibility to help us harmonize our behaviors, our thoughts, intentions, and actions based on our genetic makeup, based on our ancestry. How should we approach the world in a harmonious fashion? They laid the blueprint, and they know how to do that, so we can emulate them as well. ABOA NKWA allows us to align our physical bodies with our ANKH through the ABOA animal totems for strengthening, stretching, toning, balancing, defense, offense, and focus. The results of this alignment can be transferred to all other areas of life. So just like people can exercise and get big, there's different ways to exercise. Just like people can dance and get possessed by the abosom, or dance and they may not get possessed, but they can, as they dance and move to the rhythms of the forces in nature, specific forces in nature, they align themselves with that force in nature, and they can receive the energy of that force in nature to bring balance to themselves. Just like they can do that through dance, people can do that through ritual prayer, you can do that through ritual song, where you sing certain songs and it stimulates the energy of a certain abosom who you're trying to invoke. And once that energy is stimulated, you can utilize it to rebalance yourself in some fashion. Ritual song, ritual dance, ritual prayer, various different ways to align yourself with your kra, with the abosom. ABOA NKWA is another means by which we can do that. It strengthens the body, stretches, tones, balances, and also assists us in defense, offense, and focus. We can use our bodies to align with the abosom, align with our kra, and of course align with the abosom, and emanate the energy of the abosom, replenish the energy of the abosom. When we get into the forms of the animals, we align ourselves with our animal totems, and therefore align ourselves with the abosom that govern the animal totem. We can make our body constantly exude and emanate collections of sound vibrations just by virtue of the fact that we're breathing and life force energy is circulating through our form, and there's a collection of vibrations, of sound vibrations emanating from us that's unique to us, a unique configuration of vibration. We can use that energy and channel it. Our body is constantly, quote unquote, praying. We're constantly emanating sound vibration. When we move our bodies in certain forms, that changes the emanation of sound vibration. When we move our bodies in the forms of these ancestral animal totems that we're connected to, then we allow ourselves to get connected to the deities that utilize these animal totems, and now we can harmonize our bodies with the deities through movement. So this is the basis of that. The chart shows a sequence of movements based on the divinity, based on these sacred animal totems. So you'll see the Anan, the quote-unquote dog-headed baboon, the first animal totem. Then you see the Aponcherenye, which is the frog. Then you see Kopa or Kepra, the beetle. Then you see a couchant lion. Then you see a lion stretching. Then you see which is the Jata. You see the Odentium, the crocodile. You see the Nankal serpent, Osansa, the hawk, the Odentium again. You see the Jata. You see these different movements. You see the Bennu bird. You see Ma'at, but then you also see the ostrich, which is also associated with Ma'at because of the feathers of Ma'at. You see the Sohori, the giraffe. You see the Osebo, the leopard, and so forth. So you see these different animals, the same forms of the movements that these animals make. We use our bodies and put our bodies in the same forms of these animals. As we're going through these movements, similar to the way the misinformation of Tai Chi and so forth, but we're moving just like we've moved for thousands of years. Just like we dance in the forms, people would dress up as an Osebo, as a leopard, put on the leopard skin just like they did in ancient Kemet. You'll see it in the Yoruba tradition or the Akhan tradition or whatever. Sometimes they put on leopard skin, or sometimes they'll get white clay and put dots all over the body of the person, which represents the leopard. And then they will engage in the leopard ritual dance. Just like we do that to invoke the animal totem and the abosom that governs the leopard and therefore governs the people of the leopard clan. Just like we can do that with dance. And of course, dance strengthens the body It increases your stamina. It helps you with regard to stretching and being limber and so forth. It helps you with your balance. Dancing does all these things, but it can also help you invoke, possess, or just communicate with the force of nature that you're dealing with. The same thing with ABOA NKWA, moving in the forms of these animals, getting on the floor the same way they get on the ground, bending in the same fashion that they do, moving in the same fashion that they do. You stimulate your muscle groups, strengthening, toning, balancing, and so forth, but you also align your KRA with the energy of these animal totems. When you're engaged in that process, in this ritual movement, then you, at some point, whether it's spiritually, clairvoyantly, which means seeing beyond the physical, or clairsentiently, feeling beyond the physical, you'll see the spiritual animal totems engaging the process with you. You'll see the line bending when you're bending. You'll see the osebo, the basa, the leopard couching when you're couching. You'll see the sohori or the giraffe bending when you're bending in the same fashion. You're moving in the same rhythm as your animal totem. And you'll notice that when you're out in the world, your animal totems will show up and give you specific information or remind you of certain things at critical junctures in your life. So ABOA NKWA, the practice, again, we said developed within Aakhuamuman, the Akwamu Nation, the Fanti Nation in North America, is adhered to by our children and adults. It is a component of Akanfo Nanasom, or ancient authentic Akhan ancestral religion. But we also said, like we said earlier, we have decided to share our practice, however, because it is not limited to Akanfo or Akhan people alone. ABOA NKWA can be utilized by all Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut Africans or black people, and only Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut Africans or black people. For all of us, all Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut have Acheneboa and share the ancestral Acheneboa, ancestral animal totems as manifested through the deities, Ntoru deities of ancient Kemet from our ancient ancestral cultures of Khanid and Kemet, Nubian Egypt. Every Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut group has its own cultural approach to aligning with the animal totems that govern their patrilineal and matrilineal blood circle. So this is why we show, originally we'll show the name. It's not just an Akhan name, ABOA NKWA, but the exact same terms as ABOA and ANKH, or ANKH, in ancient Kemet, are the exact same terms with the exact same meaning. So this is not limited, again, to the Akhan people. That's why we are sharing our practice, which came within the Akwamu people in North America, Fanti people in North America. Our ancestresses and ancestors reconstituted this practice for us, and we developed it right here. And now we've been utilizing it for years, and now we're sharing it with the rest of the Afurakani, Afuraitkaitnut family. This particular poster, this image that you see with the various animals in that specific sequence, that's the sequence of movements that we utilize. So we have of course, we have memorized it by now, so we don't have to have the poster in front of us to remember the different movements in sequence, but this is the sequence of movements that we move into as we engage this ritual practice, as we align with our KRA through the agency of these movements and connecting with our ancestral totems. We will be posting some videos soon, as it says on the website, but for now we just want to go into the philosophy of that and, what it's dealing with. If anybody has any questions on the phone line, just hit the number 1 to raise your hand. If anybody has a question in the chat room, you can, type something in chat. Of course, you can't do it as a guest. You have to log in, and therefore you can post a question or a comment and so forth. Give me 1 second. I'm going to get some water right quick. Okay, so that's the basic philosophy. So the thing is, this is it's a service. What we will be doing in connection with the videos, we will post a video or two dealing with this, just showing basic movements and showing the sequence of movements. But we also will be having sessions where we can go, and one of the things we'll do is show it or teach it to people when we do a presentation in one of the different cities that we're going to. And again, just for those people who came in later, we did make the announcement at the beginning of the show. We will be in Baltimore this Saturday, this Saturday in Baltimore at 2 p.m. We'll be doing a presentation on Nanasom, Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, Ancestral religion in America. We posted it today on the website. We posted the flyer today on the website. So share that information with your people. If you know some people in Baltimore, in the D.C. area or the Maryland area, Virginia area and so forth, or, even people who are closer, like in Delaware or Philadelphia or whatever, who may want to come to Baltimore, maybe an hour and a half drive or something like that, or people who are in the region, in the city itself. 2 p.m. in Baltimore. The details are on the flyer. Go to the Odwirafo.com website, ODWIRAF as in free, O.com. On the index page, when you scroll down through the introduction, you will find the flyers for that. You will also find the flyer for the upcoming event in Las Vegas, which will be on July 19th. The information is on the website. So, again, getting back to, this is a service. So just like this is EGUA Marketplace Day, we talk about our products and our services. This is a service because it's showing this is a way to not only strengthen your body, stretch, tone, balance, deal with self-defense. It assists even when people take self-defense classes and things like this. When you engage this process on a daily basis, it not only gives you focus, it helps you to balance, because some of the movements deal directly with balancing yourself. For example, when you're standing on one leg and you're balancing yourself for a period of time, then you're engaged in a process physically where you force yourself to maintain your balance so you don't fall over. So if you become accustomed to forcing yourself to find balance, forcing the energy up between the two ears and balancing yourself in your head so that you can balance your body, then that capacity can be transferred to other areas of life. If you're constantly sending the energy to the head region to force the restoration of balance, then when you're engaged in emotional situations that normally you will get bent out of shape, you're so accustomed to learning how to force yourself to restore balance to yourself physically, you can also use that energy to force yourself to restore balance to yourself emotionally or spiritually when you get out of balance emotionally or spiritually, so you can begin to focus back on your craft, realign yourself so you can make good decisions instead of self-destructive decisions that only are made when we're imbalanced. So that's a benefit. When you're constantly engaged in movement like this on a ritual, in a ritual fashion on a consistent basis or regular basis, you're always strengthening your muscles, you're always toning your muscles, stretching your muscles so you don't pull muscles and things like that. So it's good physically, but it also deals with balance, it also deals with focus, it also deals with strength, it also deals with discipline in the physical sense, so that you're not being forced to do something, but if you get to the point where discipline is not about somebody making you do something before. If you can get up and do something on a consistent basis that you should be doing when nobody is forcing you to, then that's a development of discipline. Your heart is disciplined. It constantly beats on a regular basis. It doesn't have to be, quote-unquote, told to do that. It's always doing its job. It doesn't make excuses for not doing its job. It's consistent, it's perpetual, and so forth. Our alignment with our cross should be similar to the heart, and that's why, of course, we show in the beginning the heart ab is also associated with dance and rhythm and things like that. We should be like the heart, consistent, perpetual, constantly emanating, sending energy out in a balanced fashion to meet the needs of the moment. So you're dealing with discipline. when you can do this on a consistent basis, you strengthen yourself, body, stretching, toning, and all that, but you also develop discipline. You become industrious, you become focused. It can translate into the way you engage yourself even entrepreneurially. You'll constantly move forward and try to get things done. Make sure you need to get things done. Create innovative ways to get things done entrepreneurially. Even if you're working and you have tedious work to get done, in the past maybe you used to tire yourself out, give up, and just get quote-unquote lazy and put things to the side and become a procrastinator. When you engage a ritual process on a consistent basis, now your focus changes. And when your focus changes, it manifests as discipline. So now when there are things and tasks that need to be done to move yourself forward, move the community forward, move yourself forward entrepreneurially, getting information out or getting products and services out, now you have that energy that's constantly flowing, just like the heart constantly beating. You have a manifestation of discipline that will help you in that area. So there are a number of different areas that the practice of ABOA NKWA can assist us with. So that's the basis of the information there. We will be, right now, when we do the presentations, with regard to Nana Song, we typically are, at this point, we're just doing the presentations. We're also giving away the free books and so forth. We will, in some presentations, depending on where we are, we will do our presentation with regard to ancestral religion and culture and the publications that we have on one hand. But if we're in a place where we do a presentation one day and we stay that weekend, then maybe the day after that, we'll probably start doing in the same weekend, we'll do a session dealing with ABOA NKWA and people coming to practice the ABOA NKWA so they can learn how to do these movements and so they can incorporate them in their lives. So we'll probably incorporate that on those particular events where we have two-day type events. If we're out of town and we do a presentation on Saturday, if we're flying out on Sunday or something like that, we may do both, or we may do a long session on a particular day and do both in the same session. That's for right now. But in the very near future, we will just be scheduling specific events where we just focus on the ABOA NKWA itself. So we might go out to a certain area and teach ABOA NKWA for an hour and so forth. Okay, so we had a question, do you plan to teach this session in Chicago when you come? So, right, so in Chicago, that would be a situation where one of the days we will do that, or we'll have a longer session, because when we go to Chicago, we'll be out. We won't just fly in and fly out. There are some places that we do a presentation, if it's close, that we'll do the presentation in the neighboring state, and then we will return the same day, so we won't be there the entire day. If we fly out to an area, so when we fly out to Arizona, for example, or Las Vegas, we'll be there, and we won't fly back out until the following day. So we'll probably, in those situations, we would do either have a long session for a whole day or one day during the presentations. For the allotted amount of time, the venue is rented out, but then following day have the ABOA NKWA. That's in the near future. That's during the summer, but also in the near future as well, we'll have situations where we simply have an event where we just do ABOA NKWA. And by that time also, in the very near future, we will have at least one of the, so we will do that in Chicago. But we'll have at least one of the videos out just so people can see that sequence and how it's done. We have one of the members, or actually individual who's in the Fanti Nation in North America, was actually teaching ABOA NKWA for throughout the school year, one of the Afurakanu Afuraitkaitnut schools in the area. So teaching the children ABOA NKWA on a few days a week, taking them through the movement. So it helped them get focused, helped them energize themselves, help rebalance their energy. They learn about the animals, which of course the children love to learn about animals. but then you learn about animals in a different sequence. For them to see the animals and get into the positions of the animals, which they like to do anyway because it's fun for them, then at the same time they're strengthening their bodies, they're also stretching, they're also toning themselves, and then they're learning about animals. So when they see a leopard from that point on, they learn about the leopard in ancient Kemet. When they see a lion, they learn about Heru and Heru Behudet and lion divinities in ancient Kemet. So when they see animals now, they see them as not only connected to their clans, their blood circles, and seeing them as sacred, they also see them connected to the abosom. So when they go outside and look up at the sun or look at the sky or look at the ocean or look at the earth that they're standing on, they know these are abosom that are operating through nature. But then when they see animals, they see them in a different light. They see them as vessels of ancestral energy as well as the energy of the abosom. They see them as messengers. It's the same thing with us. Now we have a different view of the world. When you go outside, you're just not outside. When you stand on the earth mother, it's no different than if you see a fly or a mosquito land on your arm. They're landing on a being. They're a little entity, but they're landing and sitting on a living being. When you walk outside and walk on the earth mother, Asate Afur, you're standing on a living being. When you get in a river, there's a spirit that animates the river. When you see the ocean, major abosom that animates the ocean. When you go out in the sun, major abosom that animates the sun. In the atmosphere, major abosom that animates the wind. So, as well as sacred trees, mineral life, and so forth. And when you see these animals, you see totems for ancestral clans and certain abosom, certain divinities. So you have a different perspective of the world when you deal with the abosom. And dealing with the animal totems that are connected to you by blood, that gives you a different perspective every time you see animals. Now, it doesn't mean that all of a sudden, you're invincible and no animal will try to attack you. It's not something like that. It's just the fact that you live in harmony with nature, just like other animals live in harmony with nature, but you see them as part of a family. You see them connected to you. Whether it's large animals, which is ABOA, or small animals, ABOA NKWA, very small animals, which includes insects. So you don't automatically see an insect now. You see a spider and just want to smash it or kill it. A spider is a Nansi, and that spider is an animal totem for that divinity. So we typically recognize a spider shows up. That's a messenger of a Nansi, the communicator of the Supreme Being, showing up. So you see a spider along the wall, you don't just smash it. Why is it showing up at this particular time? Sometimes it's just a spider there, but sometimes there's a message being sent. Especially in Akhan culture, when we see spiders, we know this is a Nansi. Sometimes a message is being sent. If there's something that we've been neglecting, some message that's being given to us that we can constantly keep avoiding, and we're totally focused on something we shouldn't be focused on, and we're blinding ourselves as well as becoming deaf to the messages that the abosom are sending us, then one thing that will snap us out of that coma of blocking away things is the spider shows up, and all of a sudden we see a spider, and we stop. And our first response, because we've been conditioned this way, is to kill the spider. But then we're snapped out of that coma. Now we're thinking freely. Now the Instruments will have an opportunity, a window to infuse within us that information they've been trying to get us to understand or listen to, that our Akra have been trying to feed us that we weren't paying attention to. And we see the spider and we say, wait a minute, is there something that I was neglecting? And then we're reminded of what we had been not paying attention to, and then we focus on that. We may get the spider and let it outside, or find some other insect is in the house and we capture the insect. For example, like an animal totem, sometimes insects are animal totems as well. Insects are animated beings, meaning they are animal. So sometimes, for example, the Nehem is the grasshopper or the locust. So you see a grasshopper or a locust, and it shows up, or a cricket shows up at a specific time, or a cricket shows up in your house, and all of a sudden it just happens, and it's something that normally does not happen. How did the cricket get in your house? Why are you hearing this loud noise and this cricket in the house? Sometimes it's just because something got in, but maybe something else is going on. Maybe there's some information that you're neglecting them some off or trying to make sure you hear what they're trying to say and you're neglecting them, so they shock your system by putting something in front of you that communicates very loudly the fact that you need to be listening. So you're hearing this loud cricket, and all of a sudden you're forced to recognize, what am I not paying attention to? Now, you may capture the cricket in a little container and take it outside and let it go, as opposed to killing it because it was a message that was sent to you. So that happens with big animals, of course, cats, dogs, deer, vultures, hawks, eagles, various animals that we find in this area, but also the smaller ABOA NKWA, meaning wa, little animals as well. Okay. In Akamfo Nanasom, the brother said, who does the frog represent? So the frog has to do with fertility, so that's in Kemet, but it's also in Akhan culture as well. So there are different groups that are associated that carry that animal totem. If you type in, I'm going to type it in for you because it's a long name, and sometimes it's spelled a little bit differently. Sometimes it's spelled with a couple, and sometimes it's spelled differently depending on the group, depending on the totem. Depending on the dialect. So some people spell it with a couple of E's, and some people spell it that way. But Apon Chere Nie. Apon is APON for people who are on the phone line. Chere Nie is KYERENE. So APON KYERENE. Apon Chere Nie. And that is the frog. In our Akhan culture, associated with Odwirafo clan, but Odwirafo clan also has subdivisions, which is Afuraitkaitnut clan, ANKH, different clans like that. So the Apon Chere is associated with that. Of course, the frog is dealing with fertility. The frog has to do with resurrection as well. Same as in ancient Kemet. You have the frog divinity Hekhat that deals with resurrection. It also deals with fertility. Hekhat or Heket is also a wife of Kunwemu, the deity that is the potter that sits on the potter's wheel and fashions the soul and the body of the person under the direction of Amen and Amenet. Kunwemu does that. The potter divinity, his wife is Heket. So once the soul and the body has been fashioned on the potter's wheel and the soul and the body are shown as twins, then Heket will take that Ankh and use that Ankh as a talisman to send or transmit life force energy through the loop of the Ankh, that radiant life force energy, that magnetic field of life force energy into the soul and body of the newly formed soul and body of the person that's been fashioned on the potter's wheel. We have an image of that in the Okra complex, the soul of Akhanfo, somewhere like in the middle of the text, showing you the frog-headed divinity Hekhat. So they're dealing with fertility, reproduction, but also resurrection, which is also fertility as well, resurrection of the quote-unquote dead, the ancestral spirit, resurrecting, and so forth. Okay, so now one question, what about the dolphin? For years, the dolphin has been showing up in my visions and lately a whale. Okay, so for the dolphin, I don't know about the dolphin with regard to Akhan culture. I don't know of a specific clan, but that's dealing with the Akhan people. Every different group has their own association with ancestral, animal totems. So groups that live along the ocean and connected to regions where dolphins show up, then those will be connected to water divinities and those animal totems associated with water divinities. So it may be that you're from a group that lives along the coast and are associated with the dolphin divinity. So what you would do in that instance, whether it's the dolphin or anybody who's wondering, okay, there's a specific animal that has been visiting me in dreams, or something has always happened when I was, ever since I was a child, or even just as an adult, which it goes back to learning about your ancestral clan. And then once you learn about your ancestral clan, then you can investigate. You can investigate spiritually through your non-anonymous Samanfo, but you can also investigate through the culture, learning about the culture, learning about the language, and you'll find out, and once you deal with your ancestral shrine, set up your ancestral shrine, start communicating with, pouring libation, communicating with your ancestresses and ancestors, your dreams will become more vivid. They will send people in your path throughout the course of the day to confirm the things that they give you spiritually, as well as your dreams becoming more vivid. And then you'll begin to learn or be directed to information that, hey, in this particular clan, the dolphin is prominent, and they govern this subgroup of our clan. And this is what the dolphin means in our culture. That's how you find out. So whatever animal is showing up, and if you don't know what specific, group you come from, of course, you can start off with the language of ancient Kemet, because that's the parent language for people on the continent. So if you don't know what your ancestral clan is, you can start off using that language when you pour libation, calling on Amen, Amenet, Rod, and so forth. On our website, we have a ritual prayer in the language of Kemet, translation, the cosmological foundation for the prayer. We also have a link to the audio so you can hear how it sounds, so you can utilize that prayer yourself. Of course, we have the articles on the establishment of an Nkombre ancestral shrine. But if you don't know what group you come from, you can use the language of Kemet, because your ancestresses and ancestors from ancient Kemet will direct you to the group you come from, that you incarnated through in the western, or central, or southern part of the continent. So you can start off with that language, and they will direct you in that fashion. But even before they direct you in that fashion, you'll start having more vivid dreams and experiences ritually and throughout the course of the day, and they will show you and direct you to information that confirms, why is this animal showing up? How is it connected to me? And what things should I be looking for? What does it represent? What is it trying to communicate with me? Also, when the animal shows up in the dreams or at the shrine or in other fashions you want to communicate spiritually, that desire, heart desire, thirst desire, communicate that desire to that spiritual totem when you see it, when it confronts you, asking, what are you trying to show me? That is a messenger, a courier, a courieress, a messenger of the Nsamafo or the Abosom. You can ask that spirit to show you what it's trying to teach you. Okay. So one question, what is the cat associated with, and what is the fly associated with? Like in ancient Kemet, you'll find that flies, they have for example, you'll see in the tomb of Tutankhamen, but then also you'll find in other places, they have golden flies, and they were like awarded to people for valor in war and things like that. So you can look up that information, and you can actually Google some of those images in Google, and you'll find that they took the fly and it's like gold-plated flies around a necklace representing, valor and things like that. So you can look that up in ancient Kemet. You can also look up the cat, which is spelled Ma'au, M-A-U, in ancient Kemet, which is, of course, that's the sound that the cow makes. So that's the name that in ancient Kemet, one of the names that they use for the cat. The cat divinity, Bast or Bastet, B-A-S-T or B-A-S-T-E-T. She deals with, on one hand, she can deal with fertility, but she can also deal with intuition. Bastet can also deal with protection. You know how cats are. When the claws come out, they can attack. They're laid back. They're very receptive. They're also very perceptive. They're quiet. They're calculating all these different things. They also, they are known for their balance. No matter what kind of way they fall, they always attend to, fall in balance and so forth. So when you study the information about Bastet and those various characteristics, then you can find those characteristics within yourself as well. Those are general characteristics associated with her, but some specific groups depending on the ancestral group that you come from, they may have an even more nuanced interaction with a specific species of cat because of what they went through when they migrated to different parts of the continent, what their families went through, and they have an experience and an approach to that particular animal totem that's slightly different than somebody else who didn't have the same interaction with that force in that animal totem or the force in nature that governs that animal totem. So there are basic things you will learn with respect, for example, when you study the information of with regard to Bastet, but then you want to find out through your ancestresses and ancestors how your people dealt with the cat. So, in fact, for example, you don't want to approach the cat as an ancestral totem the way an Akhan person would if you were Yoruba. So, okay, and then the follow-up question for that was, how do you find out what group you come from? So that's dealing with, when you look on the website, the Nkomere Ancestral Shrine Communication article, and you can also email us as well. But I would also say, first, look at the videos on our YouTube page, and you can link to those, YouTube/Odwirafo, ODWIRAF as in free O. So we have about 48 videos. The first 3, it says Nanasom Ne Amamre, Ancestral Religion and Culture. So it's a 3-part video piece called parts 1, 2, and 3, Ancestral Religion and Culture. They're like one of the first 3 videos we have down there. The first one we talk about the Kra in detail. And each video is about 2 hours each, 1.5 to 2 hours each. The second video, we talk about the nature and function of the ancestresses and ancestors. And then the third video, we talk about the nature and function of the deities, the ABOA and so forth. So look at those 3 videos, and in those videos, of course, we reference and we link to the Ancestral Shrine Communication article that gives you a breakdown of how to establish an ancestral shrine, the nature and function of the ancestral shrine, why we utilize that, and so forth, what its value is to us across the board in Afuraitkaitnut, wherever black people are in the world, and then a basic prayer that can be used, and that kind of thing. But you can check out those 3 videos first because we explain it. We go into detail about it. When we were doing those videos on Ustream, people were also submitting questions as we were doing that live internet TV broadcast, so we answer questions as well. And sometimes the questions are very similar to the questions you would have, and we answer that in the video. So check those videos out, and then the articles are on the website, Nkomere Ancestral Shrine Communication, and the links to those. But that's finding out what group you come from is dealing directly with your ancestresses and ancestors. And the question you asked after that is directly related to the previous question. So your question about how do you get involved in the Akhan tradition or Akhan religion, first you find out from your ancestresses and ancestors what group you actually come from. And they will tell you if they haven't already told you. They probably directed you to people throughout the course of your life that turned out to be from the same ethnic group over and over again. Like some people keep running into Igbo people, not because they're looking for them, but they run into them on the bus or run into them in the store, or the Igbo person tells them, I'm from Nigeria, I'm Igbo, and share Igbo words and things like that, or tell the person they look like their cousin or something like that, and you start focusing and reflecting on that, you'll find your Nsamanfo were pushing somebody from your ancestral clan in front of you on a regular basis for years, or certain artifacts or cultural productions from certain groups, from a certain group that you kept coming in contact with for years that have been confirming what group you come from. Then when you sit down and go to that shrine and communicate with them, then they will give you the detailed information. They'll do it at the shrine sometimes. Sometimes when you leave the shrine and you go to sleep in a dream, they'll come to you and tell you or show you. Sometimes they'll do it by putting people in front of you that repeat what they've shown you spiritually and things like that. So first, dealing with the ancestral shrine and learning who you are. And it doesn't always happen the exact same day, like, you go to the shrine one time and you get all the information you've ever wanted for all the years in your life. It doesn't always happen like that. It's like if you go and sit down in front of your grandmother and grandfather, they don't tell you everything that has ever happened in the past, 50 years, they'll give you the information they feel you need to get or they feel like giving you at the time. So you may need to go to the shrine on a consistent basis, on a regular basis for a while, for some weeks or whatever, before you get certain details about the ancestral clan. But every time you go, they're going to give you something that's valuable that you need to know. So first you deal with the ancestral shrine, learn about the group you come from. But even before you get to the information about the group you come from, we all know we have a direct blood connection, genetic connection, ritual connection, ancestral connection to ancient Khanat, ancient Nubian, ancient Kemet. So when you utilize that language, you're already learning. And then when you find out what group you come from, which they will show you, if it's Akhan, if it's Yoruba, if it's Igbo, whatever it is, then you begin to study that language and incorporate that language in what you're already doing. You learn about, cultural things regarding that culture, and you can incorporate those things as well. You can also reflect on the way you've been operating all your life, and you'll find that there are certain cultural peculiarities that you've been engaged in and didn't realize you were operating as an Igbo person, the way they view the world and things like that. Okay, and you ask which shrine is this? This is an ancestral shrine that you would establish for yourself. So establishing an ancestral shrine in your home and then pouring libation to your ancestresses and ancestors and sitting down and communicating with them on a consistent basis. Engaged in the process of susu home, which is meditation, but sitting, establishing a shrine, pouring libation to your Nsamafo, and when those spirits come forth, sitting down and listening to what they have to say and you communicating as well, just sitting down and attuning to them and getting that information. And you're saying, why is it I feel like I'm from the Akhan group or something? You may have it may be because you're drawn to the Akhan because that's who you are and that's who you've lived as in previous incarnations, or you might have some ancestresses and ancestors who are from that group and they communicate with you as well. But, because you've been studying some Akhan stuff and that stimulates them as well. So sometimes that happens. Like, for example, somebody could have some Yoruba somewhere in their family. They may be an Akhan person, but their first introduction to ancestral religion in America is they got on a website, they saw a book on the Yoruba tradition, they bought it, and they met somebody who was involved, and they went to a Yoruba ritual, and they were, hearing the Yoruba songs and seeing people doing Yoruba prayers and listening to the language and saw people dressed in the garments and things like that. And they liked the information because it's Afuraitkaitnut. They like that. They like the songs and dances and everything. Those Yoruba people who are in their blood circle, who had married into their family and are ancestral spirits now, they will be excited and stimulated by that. So you'll feel their energy, aroused because this is the first time in your lifetime that you went to something Yoruba, so they can see that you're interacting with, part of their ancestral clan family that's in your blood circle as well, so they'll get excited about it. But that's not your direct ancestry. They married into your family. Like it may be a great-great-great-great-grandfather who married one of your Akhan ancestresses. So his spirit will be happy because you just connected to some Yoruba songs he hadn't heard in 100 years. So he'll be excited about that, and you'll feel that excited energy. And that's a relative of yours. But it's not your direct ancestry. It's that Akhan great mother that he married. So when you finally do get yourself around to an Akhan ritual or hear an Akhan song on YouTube or something, or come in contact with some Adinkwa symbols or some kente cloth or something like that, then you'll have some energy you never felt before because that's the group that you come from. So sometimes when you're drawn to a certain group, sometimes it's because it's the group that you're from, or sometimes it's because you have some of that ancestry blood-wise, not incarnation-wise, but blood-wise through mixture. And some of those spirits are happy because you reconnected in a certain way. But it always goes back to dealing with your ancestresses and ancestors. Okay, so another question. This dog canines are never associated with Afuraitkaitnut because they are aligned with Yoruba. Oh, no, dogs are sacred. They are associated in Afuraitkaitnut. For example, dogs are sacred to Ogun in the Yoruba tradition. There are many sacred dogs in ancient Kemet. different ancestral groups. So no, dogs are, it's just not popularized. And that's the thing when people are talking about African things like that, you know, over the past number of years, up until very recently, when people are really on the internet now and flooding the internet with all millions of pictures and going back and forth to the continent, you know, a number of years ago, there wasn't as many people flooding the internet with videos and pictures and stuff like that at the level that they're doing now. So it was just a small group of scholars and others who were talking about the culture, and they focused on very narrow lanes of investigation. But no, dogs are animal totems. They can be just as sacred as any other animal all over Afuraitkaitnut. Okay. And the question about the Odwirafo complex, we haven't finished that yet, but we are going to release that when we get a chance. We're going to do that. Also, and for example, like the other brother said, yes, that's true. Dogs have been associated with Akhan cosmology. For example, the Adriana clan, major Akhan, Abusia Akhan clan, the sacred animal totem for the Adriana clan is the Aakhuamuman, which is a dog. And in fact, they'll say in the Adriana culture, with regard to the Abradier clan, that it was the dog who carried the fire in his mouth, and it burned his mouth, but it was the dog that carried the fire in his mouth and showed that particular clan of people in the beginning of the world the use of fire, and that's how fire was brought to our people. So that's a sacred animal totem, our ABOA in Akhan culture. And then, right, so brother said Anpu, Apawat, jackal divinities related to canines and so forth. Right, and so the brother mentioned the Adriana clan. Okay, and then you mentioned you had 2 wooden statues, 1 male and 1 female. Haven't poured libation yet. Now, and let me post this right quick. For those on the phone, I'm just posting the NKWA NKWA Ancestral Shrine Communication. So on different pages on our website, you can go on the front page, past the introduction, you scroll down and you'll come to the link to NKWA Ancestral Shrine Communication and various other pages as well. That's just one of the pages it's on. So that link, Ancestral Shrine Communication, it talks about establishing an ancestral shrine and the different things, basic things you can put on the shrine. If you've never seen anyone pour libation before, you can Google, for example, Yoruba and libation, or you can Google Akhan and libation on YouTube, and you'll find people in America who are involved in traditions pouring libation. You'll find people on the continent pouring libation. So there are many, many videos. If you have never seen it up front, if you've never gone to a cultural festival or something like that and never saw anybody do that, then at least you can see it. And then sometimes the things you'll see on YouTube are festivals, like say if there was a ancestral religious festival in Philadelphia or something, and they were pouring libation and somebody did a video of it, you'll find it on YouTube. And you'll see the priest or priestess or a person, the elder or elder is pouring libation. And then you'll see how it's done. And it's very similar across the board. Some people do things slightly different, but it's similar across the board. So, and that's for anybody. You can go on YouTube and see not only libation, but ritual song, ritual dance, different prayers. So when we're talking about, for example, if you find out that your clan is Igbo, your group is Igbo, then you can Google Igbo and YouTube, and you'll find people not only teaching lessons in Igbo on the internet and on YouTube, but then you also see people, if you type in Igbo traditional religion, or Akhan traditional religion, or Yoruba traditional religion, you'll see people utilizing the language ritually in prayers, and you can hear how it sounds. So when you're practicing, you can learn how it sounds. And then you can also see them engage in, okay, how do the Igbo people pour libation? How do Yoruba people pour libation? How do Akhan people pour libation? You can actually view that if you don't have anybody in your area who's engaged in that practice. Okay. Okay, hold on 1 second, real quick. Okay. Okay, and then you said also, will you, okay, and Yeni Asera. Also, will you produce an NHOMA, meaning a book detailing the NHOMA Mu process for creating, recreating info for our own minds so that others may understand and use it as well? Yes, we will do that, although in the meantime, when you go that particular page you actually mentioned, NHOMA Mu page, NHWEHWEMU, that page on our website, NHWEHWEMU, NHOMA Mu, that page on the website, as you scroll down, there's a particular article called Sankofa Wodin, meaning return, go and grasp your ancestral name. And by the way, for anybody who wants to continue to listen, we'll probably go a few minutes over time. The live stream will cut off 3 minutes at 11 o'clock. If you want to continue to listen, then you have to call in on the call-in number because the live stream will cut off on the website, on the chat room and everything in less than 2 minutes. The call-in number is 657-383-0635. 657-383-0635. You have 2 minutes to call in. If you don't call in before the 2 minutes, then the show will cut off on the internet side, but it'll still be on the phone. So only the people who are on the phone listening will be able to continue to hear the show, but anybody who's just like in the chat room and everything, that part will cut off. All right, so, but the Sankofa Wodin article talks about establishing not only the shrine, but your ancestral name and how to connect with your ancestresses and ancestors of your clan through the use of the shrine. Okay, and so for the people who are leaving, okay, and Yeni Asera, you're welcome, brother. I saw that. We appreciate your support and everything. And if you have any other information, just email us. For the people who are leaving, we are, again, we're going to be in Baltimore. We're going to be in Baltimore this Saturday. Look on the website. Las Vegas in a couple of weeks. We are still in the midst of having our fundraiser because we're raising funds to distribute the free copies of the softcover versions of our books to people at different events, as well as people in different cities whenever we can. So if you'd like to make a contribution to that, a donation, you can go to odwirafo.com/NHOMA page, NHOMA.html. If you make a donation of $15 or more, we will send you a copy of one of our books. So we are trying to raise funds to cover expenses for the trips, as well as the free books that we give out. We print our books on our own printers in color. So that's an expense. And we want to give out some of those free books, but we also sell the books, but we also give some out for free. So if you'd like to make a donation, or if you want to purchase some books or become a distributor, you can do that all on the NHOMA page, NHOMA page on our website. You can buy one of the 7 softcover books. You can become a distributor where you can buy wholesale and sell them retail. You can make a donation, and any donation, $15 or more, we will send you a book. In appreciation for the donation. So may I say for that. Okay. So all right. So yeah. So I think that's if nobody else has any questions. Actually, we're right at 11 o'clock right now. We just wanted to go into the information of ABOA NKWA, that service. We will be posting some videos soon, at least one video soon. And hold on 1 second. And we will be having sessions. So check the website as well as the Ning site. If you're not on the Ning site, it's Afuraitkaitnut.ning.com. You can join our private social network where people are, from here, but all over the world, our people, our community all over the world, people are studying the same information, interacting, learning from one another, and so forth, questions being asked and answered. We always post our information, any event that's coming up or any new article or book that we publish, we always post it there first, as well as on our Facebook page. We have a Facebook group, Akhan. We are Afuraitkaitnut on Facebook. So we just wanted to go over that, and we will be posting the information about upcoming sessions in addition to the Nanasom presentations on Afurakanu, Afuraitkaitnut, ancestral religion that we are dealing with and going to different parts of the country dealing with. We were just in Hartford, Connecticut this past weekend, great sessions there. 2 weekends before that, we were in Camp Springs, Maryland. This weekend we'll be in Baltimore. Next weekend we are working on the Las Vegas event. So, Medase, we thank you for everyone who attended this broadcast, listened to this broadcast, tuned in. We will be back next week, Ojira on Benada Tuesdays, and then EGUA Marketplace on Awukuda or Akuada Wednesdays. Every week, same time, both shows, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on both days. If you have any questions, just hit us up. Go to our website, odwirafo.com, O-D-W-I-R-A-F as in free, O.com. Go to the Contact Us section. If you have any questions about the material, or if you would like for us to schedule an event in your city, we present to small groups as well as large groups, and we go to cities across the country. So hit us up on the Contact Us section, odwirafo.com, and we will connect with you next week. Yerase.